there's good folks that wear blue. You know, there's folks that slip into it like any other occupation that probably don't need to be doing it. But as far as making judgment calls on things that courts have decided, that's part of the process is having a thing adjudicated and everybody going okay. You know, everybody's got their day in court. But like I said, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but they're not entitled to make up their own facts and then to agitate and try to bring about confusion and harm to property or people. Today we're just protecting people. That's all.
The gentleman that was just standing here, he asked, how are you able to open carry that rifle?
Open carry is open carry.
Can you break it down for me, please? Can you elaborate on that?
I'm not an attorney. I'm happy that we're able to defend ourselves. It's been our right for a long time, and various states have finally come online and finally acknowledged that that's what the people want.
Right.
We lose our ability to have a say-so in how things are run when we don't have the means to say no. And that's where we're headed. We've run into, sadly, an administration that forces things down our throat, that they don't represent our interests. They don't listen to us.
Do you recognize that if the average Ferguson protester armed themselves the way that you've armed yourself, that they probably would be targeted?
It might invite some problems.
And why is that?
Well, once again, it's how things are perceived. It's how things are perceived.
And what would cause police to have that perception?
Well, probably because there's been problems, things hurled, shots fired at the officers, so they would be on alert in the first place. They'd be more cautious than normal, and the fact that they have been set upon, they would be even more cautious.
Do you understand the root of the Black Lives Matter movement?
I've followed the concept, but like I said, all lives matter. It's all lives matter. I'm upset about abortion. This latest thing with Planned Parenthood it gets my panties in a wad. It's sad that not only do they kill life, but then they harvest it out for a fee. That's evil. That's evil.
Can you address the question? Can you explain to me the root of the Black Lives Matter movement, if you understand it?
I explain it to the best of my ability. All lives matter. All lives matter. I don't care whether you're pink or blue. It's all lives matter.
But do you feel more emphasis needs to be put on the Black Lives Matter movement at this present time? All lives matter. We get that. And so, do you feel at this point in time that a little bit more emphasis need to be put on black people?
Let me explain it this way: if all the crime was reported that's leveled at various groups, whatever the color of their skin, people would be appalled.
Right.
They would be appalled.
Could you explain that? Could you explain that?
I explain myself. All lives matter. All lives matter.
So if you're at a cancer fundraiser and leukemia is a cancer of choice, are you going to go in that leukemia fundraiser and say all cancers matter?
You know, it's kind of a moot point. All lives matter. I understand everybody is upset.
But the question is really
talking about diabetes.
Has been hurt.
Are you going to go into a diabetes fundraiser or a diabetes function and say all diseases matter?
Well,
or is it going to be?
Of course, we want to cure all disease.
So, do you understand the root of the Black Lives Matter movement?
You keep going back to this question about why black lives matter more than white lives or yellow lives.
Well, the DOJ basically put out a report saying that African American people were targeted here, that the courts here were making all types of money on black people and stocking them.
So my question,
a lot of people's question really is: do you think that African Americans here really need to be looked at more? The lives that they're living, the criminalization of African Americans in Ferguson, should that be an issue? Because that's what Black Lives Matters is talking about. While all lives matter, black people in Ferguson, according to the DOJ, were targeted.
I believe they probably were put in a position where they were not able to come up with fees leveled against them, and there did seem to be a systematic abuse of the court system's power, and I understand some folks were let go because of that.
And what's the solution now?
The solution, it's definitely not violence. It's definitely not violence. It's having a spokesperson that's eloquent, expressing your all's views and being heard. And there would be no better time than now. We have a mulatto president. I don't know about Eric Holder's background, but if there was ever a chance to resolve some issues, it would seem that it would be during this administration.
You said earlier that you were here to protect. Who are you here to protect?
InfoWars, I've said before, are here. They're documenting the activities, and we're here to keep them safe.
What can you tell me about your group and how well trained your people are? Because this can be a potentially volatile situation.
Certainly can.
Police are watching this. What assurances can you give that we're more of a benefit rather than trying to incite something?
I've hunted guns since I was 21 years old, and I'm getting to be an old man. As far as training, not only have I received excellent training at the city, county, state, federal, and international levels, but I'm a trainer. But anyway, if you follow our history, by the grace of God, so far we've managed to dodge a lot of bullets. Accidents always happen, and so far we've remained fairly accident-free as far as any kind of a misunderstanding or a mix-up. But we're all about the Constitution.
So again, John, I mean, do you advocate people in Ferguson arming themselves in a similar manner? I mean, if you're out here,
what would be the purpose of them arming themselves?
Well, I mean,
what would be the purpose of on your side?
I explained several times we're here to keep the InfoWars guys safe.
So
previously, reporters have been set upon. They've been hurt. They've been knocked to the ground. Their stuff stolen.
Okay,
and we're here just to make sure that they're left alone so they can record things. I'm John. That's sufficient.
And you're with those people.
I am. I appreciate your interest.
Black in this area?
Say again?
Where in the country?
I'm in here in Missouri, yes. Appreciate it.
Why can't the protesters be on? Because we established that the criminal element was not the protesters.
There was a group of brothers were protecting buildings last go around, and they were left alone, whereas we were set upon.
What about
DOJ said that we were domestic terrorists. Law enforcement did, whether it was the Highway Patrol or it was all under the instigation of the Department of Justice.
Let me ask you this.
What do you think about, you talked about your opinion on Black Lives Matter. What do you think about
All lives matter, sure.
mulatto president as you described him? What is your feeling on
Well, we could get into issues about his biographer and his wife and he himself before he attained to that office, talking about having been born in Kenya. So all of a sudden that's no longer an issue, and the Democrats and Republicans all went along with it. You know, he's a very intelligent man.
Do you think he's a secret Muslim?
You know, I understand from blow-ups of the ring that he wears, it appears to be some type of Muslim ring.
You realize he's bombed 14 Muslim countries.
You know, what can you say? What can you say?
And could you say specifically what are you guarding here today? Is it?
I'd explained several times that we're here with InfoWars to make sure that they stay safe.
Okay,
and
so
previously reporters have been hurt and their things stolen.
So, is it appropriate?
Well, maybe they shouldn't come in and try to exploit our community.
Let me ask
They're not exploiting. They're just trying to record what's going on so the people can decide for themselves.
So you said you're here with InfoWars, correct?
I'm here with Oath Keepers protecting the folks from InfoWars.
InfoWars, they don't do the spin and shit like Fox, right?
They try not to.
No, they don't. I'm saying.
No,
I didn't mean to say right, but they don't. I'm just informing everybody here that InfoWars, they not putting no spin on shit. They gonna tell you the raw story.
No, they've impressed me. Alex and his people have impressed me for years, putting themselves in harm's way to bring the truth to the people.
But I want to go back to that idea about residents and protesters arming themselves. You said if people arm themselves to say, this is my community, these are my businesses, I want to arm myself like you armed yourself to protect yourself.
If they want to protect their business, and that would make sense. If they want to walk up and down the streets when there's an air of militancy going on, then it would draw attention. So your question about would law enforcement probably want to find out what's going on, I'm sure they probably would.
They certainly don't seem interested.
They're not interested at all.
No, we checked in when we pulled up, told them who we were and what we were doing, and they said, you know,
So
please
do you think
don't
that
walk.
Same courtesy would be
They
extended
said,
to
please
black
don't walk
residents?
through us, and we said that's not a
Do you
problem.
think
We'll
that
stay on
same
the
courtesy
sidewalks.
would be extended to black
The same courtesy if they were guarding buildings, it was last time around.
But are you guarding the building right now?
Of course not. That was a
Who are
stupid
you
question.
guarding right now?
No, you keep talking in circles, and
No,
that's
you're
very
talking in-
counterproductive.
Well, I guess I
It's
do want
almost
to.
like you're distracting.
I just want to
for
make
some
sure
reason.
I do. I guess you said you're here with InfoWars, but yeah, it's
I'm
true.
here
Like
with Oath Keepers,
So
protecting folks from
You
InfoWars.
said it's appropriate for people to arm themselves to guard buildings, right?
If that's what they want to do.
But are you guarding the building right now?
you're
what
not.
what does it look like?
So you're
I told you
guarding-
why I'm here. I'm guarding
Okay,
people.
so let's go back to this question. It would be appropriate for the residents of Ferguson to arm themselves like you are right now?
If they want to protect their place of business or their home, that would probably be appropriate.
And do you think
if they wanted to just walk up and down the street and draw attention, that would be silly.
That seems to be what you guys are doing.
What you're doing right now.
But it's not. Like I said, we checked in with law enforcement when we got here, and we told you who we're with and what we're doing.
Who did you check in with law enforcement, and what did they tell you?
We had patrol over here and city officers, and they said, just please don't walk through us. Please stay on the sidewalk area.
Do you think the residents of Ferguson, who are African American, or anybody, would be given that same courtesy?
If they were simply walking up and down the street carrying a carbine right now, it'd probably draw attention.
Yeah. So do you think you're drawing
if they were protecting a building or something, then it would probably be understood that, well, that just makes sense. No one wants to have their things.
Do you see that it would draw attention if a resident of Ferguson was doing exactly what you're doing right now?
But I pointed out that they were last time around, and they were left alone, whereas we were not.
So let's go back to the original theme. There is a obvious separation between protesters and criminals, such as last night. There were obviously an obvious separation from even the police have stated that. So do you think the protesters now have the right to harm themselves against the criminal element?
Well, just the sheer fact that they want to come out and express themselves that's fine. That's everybody's right. Okay?
Do you feel the protesters have a right to harm themselves?
I explained they had a right to protect themselves and be secure in their possessions. Outside of that, if a group wanted to simply walk up and down the street armed, it would probably draw attention.
Okay, so
we both know that.
Whether you're news, whether you're a citizen, whether you're a president, you have the right to be protected, right? Is that okay?
Well, I think so, don't you?
So do you think the protesters have the right to be protected just like the Infowars.com people are being protected, like you are?
Everybody has a right to be protected. Everybody has a right to be protected. Am I advocating that you all arm yourself and walk up and down the street? It would draw attention, surely would, particularly when the officers are on high alert, having had shots fired at them and things thrown at them. I'm happy things are a little calmer this time around than last time.
So what kind of relationships do you guys have with law enforcement?
It's tenuous. It's one of those situations where we smile and glad hand, but at the same time they're taking orders from DOJ. And they seem to have an agenda, which seems to be to allow things to stir up and for things to be inflamed. They seem to enjoy agitating. But, that's sad.
I don't want you to get on attack you. I just want to get your opinion about what you feel.
I stated my opinion. Okay. Everybody has a right to be safe and secure in their person and things. And we're here with Oath Keepers keeping our friends at InfoWars safe. That's it. That's it. Y'all be safe, okay?
Can we ask you one more question?
Certainly. I'll answer it if I can.
Just one more.
Go ahead. I'm John.
I'm Larry Will. I'm the freedom fighter. If you thought that it was a black guy,
so that was just John from InfoWars. He wouldn't give his last name, but he is armed to a T. He has what looks like a large rifle on him. I'm going to zoom in to the gun so you can see.
They were with a group that was trying to document things. It would probably pass unnoticed. Of course, they would look because they had a weapon.
So that is the gun that he is wearing. He's saying that police obviously are allowing him to do that it's illegal for him to be here with this, and there are a lot of reporters just asking him kind of whether or not what he thinks about the movement and what he thinks about people also arming themselves. He said that really all lives matter and that all people should really be allowed to carry the way he is carrying, as long as they're not here to draw attention or to hurt people. So that is the Oath Keepers in Ferguson today.